While many individuals are eager to stay informed about global events, not everyone has the time or capacity to prioritize their mental well-being. It's important to recognize how the constant influx of information can significantly impact on our health, both positively and negatively. Welcome to the Society Scoop. I'm your host, Trinacia, along with my co-host, Caesar.
Hello, audience.
We will delve into mental health awareness and its various dimensions. While our discussions may touch on related topics, we will consistently focus on health and well-being. Join me every Thursday at 7 p.m. for new recorded episodes where we'll share the latest insights and perspectives. Additionally, we will occasionally go live during some recording sessions, so be sure to follow our social media channels for updates. Stay tuned for all the latest scoop. Hello. Welcome back to the Society Scoop with Trinacia. I'm your host, Trinacia, and we have our co-host, Caesar. Welcome back.
Happy to be back.
We are back.
This is actually taking body, and I'm so excited about, what the platform has to bring to the society. We're scooping up all the major help that we can find for our audience in order to help with the mental health issues we're dealing with.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited because I feel like this is what social media should be for,
Right. And then definitely it's an outlet. It's like a lot of people walk around with a smart device in their hands, but can't figure out how to, seek for the right things. This is just extra awareness, I believe, that the Society Scoop is the place where you scoop up what you need. I mean, you need it, we got it. If we don't have it, we go find it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we're going to talk about today on this episode, we've been touching on it since we first
started the show,
the previous show. Just social media, the impact, positive and negative, on children, teens,
and adults,
young adults and adults. Because it's starting from the older adults to trickling down to the children. So I was looking up some stuff yesterday just about, I have my notes, so let me pull out my notes. I was just scrolling one day on TikTok. No, I wasn't scrolling on TikTok. I was just scrolling and I saw a news clip. And it was TikTok being sued. It was on CNN Central News. And they were just saying how they feel like, a lot of parents, they feel like TikTok is harming their children by using addictive product features such as like autoplay, push notification, and I'm going to say filters, right?
Right. Those filters can be addicting. Because a lot of people we're seeing now on social media don't take a regular picture without a filter.
But I'm talking about like the character filters.
Right, like the dinosaurs.
So kids are getting on TikTok and they're just, I'm going to take a picture, and they get a little filter and it's like intriguing, right? So they just take multiple. And then after they take pictures, they're scrolling. So I don't know. I feel like I kind of agree.
I agree as well. I see that with my children. As you know, I have children and I monitor their activities on social media. I have some nephews whose presence is very active on TikTok. And, my son and daughter are one of those. Mm-hmm. I was looking through my daughter's TikTok, day before yesterday, and I noticed that she's using the little star and moon kind of like tattoo features.
So I do agree. I agree.
Yeah, so that's something that we really need to pay attention, because,
how do you feel about getting your kids' phones and looking through their social, not just looking on their social media from your phone.
Right.
Getting their phone and going through their social media accounts.
That should be essential as parents, because it's like, growing up, I don't know, for boys, we used to you know, when the internet first, you know, I'm going to be telling my age pretty soon, but when the internet first, you know, I come from the floppy disk era into, you know, the Windows 99.
Or Oregon Trail, but you only had computers at your school. You didn't have them at home.
Right, but if you have
phones.
connections like we did, you know, I'm not gonna say too much, but we had people who donated a lot of devices to us. We didn't have internet at that time because it was real expensive, but we had computers. You know, sometimes we used to just go to the library, you know, and get on the internet and just browse. And, you know, what we used to browse through was just, I mean, thank God.
But did the librarian walk around and look and see what y'all were doing, or you only had a certain access to certain things?
Well, eventually they started putting, you know, parental blocks and stuff like that. But in the beginning, it wasn't.
So I know, like, my children, my son is 23 and my daughter is 21. When they were younger, like elementary, because I'm seeing it as young as elementary, I'm seeing as young as 5 and 6 years old, they have social media accounts.
Definitely, because these kids got tablets.
Right.
And it's like, you know, our generation, we, as you mentioned, we didn't have computers at home.
Well, I'm going to say, when my kids were younger, they didn't have social media. Like, when my kids were younger, they had just come out, well, we had MySpace, and then we had Tagged. But when I was a kid, we didn't have that. So my mom didn't have to go through our phones. We didn't have phones. We only had, what do we have?
She know where to find you when she see the phone cord in the bathroom.
Or in my room.
Or in your room. And it was easy to control because all she had to do is unplug it from the wall and no calls was coming to the neighbor.
Absolutely. So when we were grounded from things, it was from going to the park or going outside and riding bikes.
Right.
But
nowadays, these kids are grounding themselves because they don't even want to go outside because it's social media presence.
And then I'm seeing, and again, this is just me scrolling, watching the news, I'm just, you know, being very observant. When children are grounded from social media, they don't want to do nothing else.
They don't want to do nothing. No. It's like the roles reversed because back in the day, we used to get grounded and sent to our room.
We got mad because we couldn't go outside.
Right. So
they don't want to go outside.
So now the way to ground kids is say, go outside and play.
So what do you think about, so you do think that the parents do you agree with them, suing TikTok? I don't know. Do you think it's TikTok's fault or do you think it's the parents' fault?
Well, it plays a big part.
I wouldn't go as far as suing. I don't know.
Remember a while back when people started suing McDonald's, right? Because
they were gaining weight.
Their food was making them obese, right? Right?
Right.
So McDonald's was accountable because the ingredients in their products, you know, cause, you know, the cholesterol problems, the high blood pressure.
But I kind of feel like as an individual, you should have self-control, right?
Right, but it's been offered, again, it goes back to when McDonald's, and I don't want to drop names, but a certain restaurant got sued. A couple of restaurants actually got sued.
And you saw this where? On the news, I guess?
On the news.
Okay.
I mean, it's Nation News.
Okay.
And I don't want to drop names. You know, we probably have to edit from the previous statement. But we know, as everybody knows, for those who don't know, let me, you know, give you a feedback on exactly what was taking place with the restaurant industry that was causing fast food industry that was causing a lot of Americans to gain weight. And even just recently, there was an article from a certain restaurant who sell Tex-Mex food, and they were found to be adding the Axlac products on their food, you know. And, you know, everybody complained, and multiple times, you know, every time I eat here, I have to use the restroom. Well, they found out why. So it's the same thing here with the social media aspect. We have different platforms who are catering to our kids, our children, molding the way they think, you know, setting standards on how they should move on in life, and we're not monitoring as parents.
So there you are. We're not monitoring as parents. So again, just me, my opinion.
Right.
Why would I sue TikTok? Because of their addictive filters or addictive.
Well, it plays a part. They're offering it, right? So,
But in order to offer it, you have to go onto it. So your parent should monitor your
right.
accounts.
So you're still accountable for that action, though.
The parent or the child?
The provider. You're providing harmful. You're providing harmful. Your products could be harmful. So, let's say, for instance, you use a certain herb product, right? Mm-hmm. And that herb product might not cause everybody to lose their hair, mm-hmm. but it causes you to lose your hair, right? Mm-hmm. So your next step is to sue the manufacturer by not warning you of the side effects of the product if you're a certain skin type or if you're, melanated, non-melanated. So basically they're getting sued for not having the warning signs. So like let's say for instance before you have I know you for a while and I know you have the habit of reading anything before you consume it. You don't wear a certain herb product unless you read it and see if it's harmful to you or not. That's your precaution, mm-hmm. right? And they have those warnings, right, to tell you exactly what this product has. So basically, they're not getting sued because they're offering it. They're being sued because they're not
disclosing or providing. Okay.
And I feel, again, this is one of the things that we can talk about because it causes a level of self-awareness. Because these children are insecure about how they projected in society that they have to use fillers, right?
Filters. Well, fillers.
Fillers, like, to amplify their
image.
Their image, right? So, we see that in adults too, right? Because you have the Botox addiction.
Whoa.
Well, we're in social media now, everybody want, so it's an image problem. Mm-hmm. It's a mental problem.
Okay, but.
With that being said, and social media broadcasts it they put, in earlier days, in today's society, most young women, they, if they're not a certain height, or even if they are a certain height, they will wear pump-up shoes.
Heels.
Heels,
mm-hmm.
right? And that's an image problem. Oh, I'm too short. I'm not tall enough.
And it's because of social media?
Right. Right, because it's broadcasted live. And I mean...
But that can also go with pageants, beauty pageants.
Well, we know the history on that, right?
Yeah.
So how addicting was that to a lot of... And how individuals ended up being traumatized from that.
Well, you got anorexia because they're trying to keep a certain image.
Right. So that attacks your mental. And I mean, they're gaining from our suffering, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why a lot of parents are suing. But we have to take accountability as parents. So I see the projection that you're making. In order to fix the problem, we have to analyze that there is a problem.
Now, again, we also, and this is taken back to like 4 and 5 year olds having tablets. So if you don't monitor their tablet, you don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And I've seen this for myself. Your kid can have a tablet and you can put them on YouTube, right? Yeah. Just a YouTube. Kids know how to click on other pictures because you have other videos that show, unless you have a parental.
Firsthand, and I'm glad you mentioned the parental. Firsthand, one of my children, I experienced this. One of my children watching a very popular kids show, mm-hmm. right? And they look up the name.
And this is on where? YouTube or?
Yeah, it was on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention, to clear the air, but yeah, it happened to be on YouTube.
Can we can mention it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
We're going to get it clear. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely at the time was, Dora the Explorer was very popular. Mm-hmm. So my daughter was looking at Dora the Explorer. Well, little did I know there's other people who use children's entertainment figures for perverted desires and alluring way to entice children to tap into their content.
Oh, so not on that video, but like, are you saying like a commercial, or are you saying it was like a video under it?
It was a following video. So like, there's episodes, right? So once that episode finished, the following episode was as well a Dora episode, but it was like she was more of a goth, explicit Dora, for say. And yes, it's very traumatizing. So we're dealing with, I believe.
So there's no way for a parent to really monitor their child's access?
You can monitor and do parental, but if they look a particular, like my nephews was watching this guy, and they're getting bold now. Like, children were watching them too, and then like we have in society, it's not even TikTok. Sometimes it's on YouTube. They watch random videos, repeating and projecting them to do a certain type of dare. At one point they had the hot water challenge where a young lady burned her brother's back, 3rd-degree burns, because she wanted to be cool on social media and get likes.
So what you're saying is TikTok being sued, it's happening all over. It's not just TikTok.
It's not just TikTok. So that's the emphasis that I use with the restaurant. For example, in the restaurant industry, that happened a couple of years, and it's continuing to happen today. Well, we have to hold these people accountable for what's being projected. Fortunately, we won't have to deal with that in this platform because we're offering help against all those issues. We're seeking the outlets and the right people to give aid to the addiction, because social media has become an addiction. How often have you had to restrict yourself from being on social media? Because me personally, I dealt with anxiety in social media. And it was not in the form of bullying or anything. It's like everything, when the algorithm first broke, it caused me anxiety because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, man, I was just talking about this. Why is this popping up? So I'm like feeling like, what? Like, really, like I had a real episode.
Ooh.
I had a real episode to where like I put my phone down and I walked away from it. And then when I came back, I was like, man, I was talking to somebody. The phone been down on the phone. And I was like, man, I picked up the phone and all of a sudden, it's a pop-up of what I'm talking about.
You're getting excited.
So at the end of the day, social media could be a trigger. As an adult, it was a trigger for me. So I can just imagine on a young mind who's willing to...
think about just how the brain develops, right?
Right.
As a kid, your brain develops and you're putting all of this content, social media, music, news. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me. Right. So I just imagine as a kid, I mean, which could, like you just start thinking like, okay, the older that a person gets, it's like they start having these issues. They have, I don't know, just mental health issues because
like anxiety,
they can't.
It causes a higher level of anxiety, not just on a personal level. I can speak of, I seen it firsthand on other people, on people you're close with, on people I'm close with. It's affecting the community. And I mean, it's entertaining. Yeah, it's easy to say, well, you don't have to tap in, but... Do
you think that, like for instance, I wake up in the morning, right? And I don't sit up in the bed. I lay down in the bed and I look at social media. It could be a posture thing. It could lead to a lot of physical issues the older you get.
And it goes back to the addiction aspect, right? My mom used to say, when you wake up in the morning, don't do nothing but get up and brush your teeth, right? Before you do anything. Nowadays, we wake up and turn on our phone. That's an addiction.
Absolutely.
That's an
I
addiction.
see. I make excuses. I don't think it's an addiction. I think it's just a routine.
Well, can I be blunt with you? If you ask a drug addict if he enjoys doing drugs, he don't see that he has a problem himself, right? But the first thing he does when he get up or when he's down from his high, he looks for a fix. You wake up, you look for a fix in social media.
It's almost like people needed to get their day going. But then again, you have people that get up and it's a positive. You know what I mean? Like, get up in the morning and you get on social media. Well, you pray first, right? Then you get on social media and you make a positive post, right?
Let me stop right there. You say you pray first. That's good that you pray first. A lot of people don't pray first. A lot of people just get up, go straight to social media, look for the next best thing, or look into somebody who say, oh, let's see what they got going on. I'm on their page. Oh, they always on trips, huh? They always doing this. They always eating out. Yesterday they was at Cheesecake Factory. Today they're at Fogo de Chao.
You had to say Fogo de Chao.
You know, a Capitol Grill. They're at Benihana's today.
But you know, people gonna say, it's my Facebook, it's my Instagram. I can post it. You don't have to look at it.
So what I'm saying is it has to be an intervention, right? For us as society to regulate ourselves. Yeah, parents are suing TikTok for the content and the filters, but they're using it themselves.
Absolutely.
So this is a...
But so their excuse is going to be, well, I'm an adult.
Right. Well, again, we go back to addiction, right?
Or we go back to children following a pattern.
Exactly. And that's what I was trying to walk up and bring up too. But you can't talk to an addict. They will never recognize they're an addict until they recognize their addiction. And nowadays, we're not just talking about drugs. A social media overdose is somebody committing suicide. It's somebody attempting suicide
On social media. Is it because they are following a trend, or is it because they're trying to get attention from their Facebook or Instagram or TikTok followers?
At this point, let's call it for what it is. It's an addiction. It's a real live addiction.
So social media is an addiction.
That's the modern drug.
Okay, so listen, this takes me to my next topic that I researched that also has to do with social media.
Before you answer that, I wanted to touch on that because I mentioned, one of the biggest monsters in society today, and that's suicide. If you have any urges or any thoughts of suicide, feel free to go reach out to somebody and talk to them before you take that decision or
make that decision.
Make that decision, because we all go through mental patterns that we have to cope with and deal with.
Yep.
We have family who had went that route or attempted that route. So the Society School take pride in putting up resources for the mental health aspect, and we want to reach out to the right people and provide that help for those who feeling that way. And I just wanted to touch on that based on me mentioning, because you shouldn't have to feel like you're alone. If anything else, just remember, no matter who you are, no matter what position you're in, no matter what you've been through, you have something to offer. You are essential to somebody. You might feel you're not essential to anybody, but I'm here to tell you today, right now, that you are essential to somebody. You might be essential to me. So, reach out. There's help. You need to talk to somebody. I would definitely put my information out there to talk to those who have those feelings and dealing with that type of anxiety. We need you. We need your input in life. You are important, and that's all I wanted to touch on. But feel free to reach out. Our information and the people that we have in place for these type of scenarios. We have professionals that we're partnering up with and putting the right people in position to help those who are struggling with that. I just wanted to touch on that.
And that's good, because I'm gonna say, like, 2 weeks ago, I logged on to Instagram and I followed the Shade Room. Everybody know the Shade Room, right?
Right.
It's a blogger. I mean, I logged on and they made a post about a young gentleman who took his life. Young gentleman. I don't know, 21, 22, maybe a little bit older, but no, not older than 25, because his ex-girlfriend broke up with him. And it's like, he's seen it somewhere, right? I mean...
And it's kind of touchy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to take you out of content on that last statement, but it's not so much that you see it somewhere. It's that a lot of us feel alone, to where we feel like we don't have nobody to talk to.
But how do you reach out to them? Like me, I'm putting out a podcast. I'm trying to reach out to those, who are on social media scrolling and will see my podcast. They listen to it, right? They don't reach out. How do we get to those people?
By taking the proper channels and continue to advertise, continue to talk. See, I mentioned it, but I wanted to emphasize it. And I'm sorry that I cut from the...
No, you're fine.
From what you was about to state, but I know I'm aware that I mentioned something. See, and the reason why I mentioned that we are partnering up with people to help that, because we are truly invested in that. And we're truly invested to offer that help, right? We're not going to focus, just like these other platforms offer filters and enhancements to kind of change...
Edit the way you look, your image.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We're offering, we're marketing and offering, and I'm sorry to say marketing, but because we're not selling anything, but we are partnering up with people who are professionals,
and they're willing to,
and they're willing to offer their services for those people who deal with those urges, who deal with those struggles. You're not alone.
And like he mentioned before, he's dealt with this. You want to talk about that?
Well, in many ways, the anxiety, as far as what social media pressures, and as far as the pressure of social media, we all deal with it. And it's what we decide to do at the end of the day. Unfortunately, there's people who want to take the easy route out, or so-called the easy route out. But you're not only taking yourself out, you're taking, your loved ones out with you, because now
they have to suffer.
They have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis.
But I think when people are going through or dealing with real-life trauma like that, they don't think about that. So again, how do we?
Right, we're taking the means right now, creating the content to put out there, partnering up with the right people to get them help. Me personally, I dealt with anxiety, and like I said, social media anxiety.
So how hard was it for you to reach out for help, or did you reach out for help?
I did. I did.
And how did you find the help?
The way that most people avoid help now, spiritual help. Most people are afraid to reach out to a pastor, to a priest. They're afraid to reach out to the elder in the village. These are issues, again, that we have to make aware that we go through these struggles. For the ones that's coming behind us can see that, hey, Uncle C went through that, but he's well now. He's handling it well. You know, so not enough people talk about it because we hold it in shame. Like we tuck our heads down because we went through it, not even realizing that we survivors. We survived one of the toughest parts. We was on the edge but didn't jump. So that's something that we have to push more and and get with people with survivor stories. You know, people who've
been through it,
been down,
have overcome it,
and overcome it. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't overcome it because they don't have the help.
That's right. Which is the reason why we decided to come out with this podcast, because I feel like if people don't have the resources, I mean, they don't have anyone to go to. So, I mean, like Caesar mentioned, we have a couple of facilities, professional therapists who are willing to come in and talk to us, provide information, provide assistance, work with you. I know a lot of people, they are unable to afford the help, or maybe they don't have a job, so their employer doesn't provide mental assistance. So,
well, now in today's society, that's something that they're opening up because it's a major issue. Although the topic today is social media, in our future episodes, we will be talking about work, health, mental issues, right? To where it causes you deal with anxiety at work. But that's for another episode. We're going to carry on into the social media aspect. I believe that you had something to emphasize as well.
Well, we were talking about suicide, so I did do a little research on suicidal intent. I always hear suicidal. I always just hear the word suicide. Suicidal intent is when you express suicide, like it's self-harm, basically. Right. Self-harm. So it's not committing the act, but it's intending to commit the act,
so
right?
At that point, I feel like that's a voice or a call for help.
Right.
I see those that announce it are cowardly, and I don't want to say cowardly, I shouldn't have used cowardly, are seeking for help in a way because they don't know how to express themselves, or they're not comfortable expressing themselves about the shame that they deal with, right? And today's society want to sweep shame under the rug, but we all feel it. And some people want to eliminate shame, right? But shame can make you a better person if you know how to absorb it, right? There's a certain shame that brings conviction to keep you in good standards with society as a productive citizen, as a certain shame keep you from transgressing against your brother or sister. That's why I look at the people that's dealing with the certain shame that they don't want to talk about, right? Because we all deal emotionally with certain kind of shames that can trigger.
Pull your mic up so we can hear you better.
That can trigger a reaction out of you, right? So with that being said, in social media today, we have people struggling with certain type of shames, and they reflect on what they're seeing on the screen, on their tablet, on their phone.
Which it doesn't even help. Like,
well,
it makes
that's the trigger we were talking about, the algorithm, right? So your phone is listening to everything you're saying, and it's projecting. You could have been having a conversation with your brother, right, about the certain struggle that you had, right? And then your phone is listening to it and projecting it right back to you. So your brother leaves, and all of a sudden you see somebody in social media, perhaps somebody you know, that spoke on the same thing or posted the same thing probably 20 years ago or 10 years ago. And now you're thinking, your brother must have just called them and told your secret. So now you're feeling indifferent towards your brother, so you bottle in your information,
And now you keep it to yourself because you feel like.
Let's say you are one of those people who self-reflect. You speak loudly to yourself to kind of like, you know, to deal with the issue that you're dealing with, but your phone is listening. So now you open the phone, it's like, what's going on? Who's telling my business, right? So that's a trigger to the suicide topic that we're talking about, and how influential social media can be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on the level of mental health that we're dealing with, because we're all not in great standings mentally, due to day-to-day pressures, peer pressure, society pressures. But here in the Society Scoop, again, I mentioned, we're taking pride in offering the help that you need in those situations, because we're working to fix the problem, not be part of the problem.
Absolutely. We can go on and on about social media. It's a lot.
Well, yeah, and the triggers that it causes. It triggers a lot of anxiety. It triggers a lot of it. And most people are so addicted, they're not realizing the harm that it's causing. In order to fix a problem, you must acknowledge the problem.
But people always, they're not going to acknowledge they have an issue with or being addicted to social media because they don't think it's a problem, because they think, because everyone does it, right?
Right.
Oh, I don't have a problem. I just log on when I'm bored.
Yeah, that's what Hollis said every time he picks up a beer. That's what a drug addict would say. Anytime, you know, he's using drugs, he's using a justification. So today in the Society Scoop with Trination and Caesar, we're emphasizing on an intervention for society. So this is the major topic that we're choosing to do on this episode, and we're going to continue to emphasize on the mental health aspect, because if you struggle mentally, and I can see that you offer way more of a support, why would I want you struggling mentally? How much of a help can you be to me if you struggle mentally? And vice versa. If I struggle mentally, how much of a help can I be to you? So me observing the struggles of mental health in
But that
society,
can be a part of like anxiety for that person, because they're pinpoint what's wrong with the other person who's trying to help them, right?
It could be a trigger, but that's where the dedication comes in. That's where platforms like the Society Scoop can offer, you know, and direct those people who are dealing with those issues, those troubles of anxiety. Anxiety is real. Anxiety is the monster that's not mentioned. It's like when a kid said, "Mom, there's a monster in my closet," right? We blow them off.
Boy, you're just seeing things.
Right.
Close the closet door.
Born schizophrenia, right? Now these kids are really dealing with something. I mean, thank God for social media in this situation, because there's a positive to bring awareness in it. It's like I mentioned in the prior episode, we walk around with a smart device in our hands, right? And we don't use it. We either on TikTok, we're either on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, you know, stuff that's not really productive and showing, you know, we use it for entertainment, but how much productivity can you gain unless you're doing for a platform like this?
Right, like a positive impact.
Yeah, to make a positive impact, but you don't have much of it. Most social media outlets have, you know, a lot of gossip. Look what happened to such and such.
Drama. But a lot of people, I mean,
are addicted to that. That's their drug of choice. That's their drug of choice. Unfortunately. But here We are the rehab to that. If you need rehabilitation, I messed that up.
Rehabilitation.
There you go, right there. That's why we're co-hosts, because, when I drop the ball, you pick it up. Okay, good rebound on that there. So we are the rehab. We are the counselors that you come talk to about, so... Oh, we have the counselors.
Well, yeah, because we're going to take that part out because we are not counselors, but we can direct you to a licensed professional who can assist you,
right?
Who can talk to you. Again, like going back to a previous episode where I mentioned that I had a therapist during a very, very hard, trying time in my life. And I mean, I had to kind of I had to tell myself that, like, okay, I need help. Like, I really do need help. And if I keep going and I don't talk to anyone, like, I have my friends that I talk to, but I mean, they don't understand because they haven't went through it, right? So, I mean, just having that professional to sit there to listen, have me do homework,
And the importance of listening to understand and not listening to reply. That was the essential key of your overcoming that issue, because that professional knows that you need something to let out as opposed to just talking to your friend. Mm-hmm. Majority of the time, I'm not going to say only, majority of the time, they're only listening to reply, not to understand your issues, or just push through and brush your issues out like it don't matter. So that's the importance on seeking professional help. And like I say, we will help connect you with those professionals. We may not be those professionals, but we're going to touch the topic because that's something most people ignore.
Yep.
Especially in a black community, black men don't seek therapy.
Why is that? Since we have you here, since you brought it up. Well, you know what? We're talking about social media.
Right, but those are triggers. Those are triggers.
What? Oh, okay, I got you.
Social media can trigger a lot of that anxiety in a lot of men.
Yeah.
As you can see, there's shows on social media who speak on the topic of that man deal with in a dating pool, right? And we're talking about posts that we seen on social media, like the list that certain women, not all women make, but majority.
Like what? Are you talking about like requirements when dating?
Requirements in dating, where you can take me on my first date. Those are things that can cause anxiety.
And you know what else can cause an anxiety in anybody? Just trying to online date.
I think we had to sit down on another episode and extend that one, but
definitely. Been there, done that.
Hey.
Never again.
I trust you and believe you on that one.
I mean, more power to the ones doing it, but ooh.
Well, it's like finding a gold nugget in a stack of hay, right? Finding a diamond in a stack of hay, you're more likely to find
a bone.
No, hey, come out with a handful of hay than a diamond,
And that's stressful.
Yeah, it's definitely. But we just want to raise the awareness in this society, and this is what takes part in real conversations that we're having.
Real life conversations. Next time I'm going to be comfortable and put my foot up.
Oh, yeah, man. We probably
I'm still struggling with my messed up foot, but...
We probably pop popcorn on the next episode, Hey, but we're here to emphasize the issues that majority of us deal with in society and allow you to reach out to one of the professionals that are linking up with us and providing the help and, to try to get us some kind of rehab for the society, social media, anxiety, and urges that it causes.
Right.
It's definitely, you will, if you ever dealt with a real drug addict, a person that's really, you consider a drug addict a person who's really sick, and, or an alcoholic, just a person who's really sick. So now let's talk about social media. There's people who are really struggling with their health because of social media, That's the reason why, parents are suing, certain outlets based on the reaction or the outcome that has
their platform, right?
Through their platform with their loved ones. It doesn't have to necessarily be their kids. It could be it could be a nephew, it could be a niece, you know what I'm saying? It could be a brother, it could be a sister. Hey, in some cases, it could be our mother.
It could be your parents. Absolutely.
So
think about our parents. Just think about our parents who didn't have social media.
That now have
and again,
social media,
it's still just listen.
And that's a trip.
Think about our parents dating or online dating again, and then they can become addicted to it.
Well, and that's
that's
the elephant in the room. It's like, let's not act it's not there. It's there.
It's definitely there. Yeah.
It's definitely there. So
TikTok being sued because listen, it's adults who
struggle with that same thing. It's not just the kids. So let's be broad.
I wonder if the parents are doing it because maybe they're addicted. So they want to make sure that their kids.
Right, it's affecting the whole family.
You know what? A kid can say, "Well, Mama, you be on there doing the same thing."
It's since we're talking about addiction, right? In the 80s, thankfully it didn't happen to nobody in my family, but I was close to a lot of families who dealt with the issue.
Social media addiction?
No. A drug addiction. In the 80s, there was an epidemic with crack, right? Crack cocaine, whatever. But that's an addiction, right? So today, our crack cocaine will be social media. We have, of course, other drugs like that's taking our children out.
But that's for a whole nother episode.
But I'm only using this as an example, right? That people want to, it's not that, right? When people started smoking crack, it was a rich man's high. So it was a party drug. Mm-hmm. So going back to social media, it's an outlet that most people say, that's nothing. That's how I unwind. Mm-hmm. I relax on that. But when the crack era started breaking families apart, that's when it became a problem, right?
And that's exactly what's happening with social media.
Social media. Yep. And that's why I mentioned the drug addiction with the social media addiction, because if we pay attention, it's doing the same thing.
And check this out. So, okay, I have a 4-year-old. Let's say I have a 4-year-old, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say I have a workout center in my house. So I want to work out, right?
Right.
But my 4-year-old, he just won't leave me alone. I'm going to grab, here's your tablet. Go play. So when you condoned it, right, it was fine until now you see problems. So now you want to sue, right?
I mean, I think we're kind of more emphasizing on the suing matter than the solution and the accountability in the aspect. Okay, like I mentioned earlier about the restaurant industry, right? Mm-hmm. To where, yes, as consumers, we're both accountable, but the provider is not putting the warning labels. It may cause addiction. Like certain medicines, the hospital may prescribe certain medicines that the doctor may prescribe to you can become harmful or addictive.
And they list that too on your prescription.
So they began to get sued because they was not listing that, right? So in the suing matter, this is why they're being sued.
And then think what happens. So it's going to be a trickle effect.
Right,
then you're going to have other families who are going to say, you know what? I'm dealing with the same thing.
Right. So now this is what's going to happen. They're going to start warning people it may cause addiction. They're going to start putting labels on it. You have to label it. Like products, they label keep out of the reach of children.
Or cigarettes. It has a warning label. Right? It may cause cancer.
And they just started doing it recently, like maybe 20 years ago, because people were dying of cancer and they were suing the cigarette companies. But again, they're consuming, right? But they say, oh, you smoke a cigarette, you'll be cooler. That's how it started being advertised, right? Because, 16-year-old people were smoking. A lot of our parents started smoking at 10, 11 years old because they thought it was cool. Mom and dad.
Because everybody did it.
Right. So moms and dad were having cigarettes and their kids picking cigarettes up at early ages. So again, it goes back to, the epidemic that it becomes unknowingly
right.
run into these monsters. Unknowingly we pick up addictions. So now we have to realize what we're doing. In social media, it's triggering a lot of these, anxiety attacks, schizophrenia attacks,
suicidal intent.
And a lot of people become.
You know what? And I'm gonna cut you off right there because I forgot I wrote this down, and we've been talking about this. So I did see an article. Well, I read it on CNN News, CNN Business, that Instagram they're going to pass where teens can have accounts. There's built-in protections. So is this them saying parents aren't monitoring their kids, so we gonna have to monitor them?
Well, that's a good warning label for us and to prevent. And it ties in.
Right.
It ties into you mentioning that they're suing TikTok. Now, Instagram is taking...
Because I seen them around the algorithm. Seen them around the same time.
Yeah, so they're showing a bad story and a somewhat good story. Because now, they're going to, if you're a teen, but the outcome of that, which could be perfected, we're talking about it will open doors for a lot of predators as well. Because I don't know if you remember this, but, as I mentioned to you before, my children are, I'm sorry to say this, they're addicted to Roblox.
A lot of kids are.
Right? And I've been part of the problem before. I don't do it no more, but I used to buy Robux for them to have money on their game. So
if you clean up, you get a Robux.
Right. So,
So they're not going to clean up if you ain't got a Robux for them.
Well, we're going to get them some help for that. I personally removed myself from being a sponsor for my children to continue being addicted to a social media world.
I just don't think, I don't know. I'm optimistic about this because you said predators. This is the intent is to keep predators away.
Right, and that's why I mentioned Roblox because it was a certain celebrity that, got famous by doing explicit, adult content. Their children began to be targeted on these media
because of who their parents were.
Right. So,
and that happens a lot. That's online harassment.
Somebody sent the child the video of their mother performing an adult content
act
on their platform because this is supposed to be, and I mentioned Roblox because you mentioned they're extending Instagram for a younger audience, right? So it was a predator who thought it was funny for a child to see their mother performing a adult interaction, right? That we, as all adults, I'm pretty sure we all do it.
Or have done it.
And have done it. We're grown, but it's something that we don't need our children to be exposed to until, they grow older and go through the proper maturing stage to understand what's taking place. But somebody vindictive or, with ill intent decided to, kind of traumatize, your mom's doing this, like on a predator level, because I look at that action as a predator level, like, trying to entice a kid to, see, look what your mom does, so it's okay type stuff. So that's not acceptable. We're not here in the society school. Can I say that we're not standing for that?
We are not standing for that.
So we're definitely against that. And in certain states you might condone it. We're in Texas. And
It's more like an integrity level. Like that's just not
right.
You know.
Yeah, in an integrity level, we're not supporters of that type of activity. We're against the action, and we're here to protect our children mentally, physically, and spiritually. So here in the society,
Or not really just saying protecting our children, protecting all children.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And when I say
as a whole.
Yep. I don't care. You ain't got to be my child, but I will be willing to protect you. I'm your big brother. If you somebody bullying you, I used to get suspended in school for bullying the bully. Let me tell you. Yeah.
For bullying the bully.
Yeah. So Big Brother C got your back.
Well, the time has come.
It definitely has come, and we have
made
a lot of progress.
Whenever you like sit here and just talking, and it's like, whoa, the time has passed.
Yeah, but we
can
awareness for our future. As we said in prior episodes, this is here established to raise awareness, to render aid to our children and to all of our listeners.
I mean, because you never know.
No matter what age you is or you are, I'm sorry. Proper grammar. I'm sorry for my grammar.
It's okay. To explain to the audience, like, where are you from, and let them know what your first language is and how you.
I'm from around the way. I am.
We wrapping it up, but
yeah, a little insight about me. My name is Caesar. He was like, Black Caesar in the house. Yeah, but I'm originally from Panama City, Panama. I came to the States at the young age of, I was 8 years old.
Quit moving here, babe.
I was 8 years old, and I came to the States, and I didn't know English. So if you hear a mispronunciation in some of the words that I say.
You know what? He allows me to correct him. He had to teach himself English, so.
Yeah, so I had to learn a second, and so meaning I mastered the language you hear me speaking.
Right.
And I mastered another language as well. So from time to time,
French.
Well, I'm working.
He's learning French, but his first language is Spanish, and his second language. Would you say a second language, or would you say
English second language? Yeah, I was on ESL when I came to school in the United States.
But I say all this to say, he was the one bullied in school when he moved here.
Originally,
they bullied him because he didn't know English. And imagine seeing a young black boy. That does not, a little black boy that looks like me, that doesn't speak English. So,
yeah, that was pre-social media era, but
pre-social media era, it probably would have been worse. You think if you were on social media?
Well, I think social media, and this is the pros in social media. It probably is because most people were not aware of Afro Latinos, which is my descent. Everybody majority of the people in my family are black. But they speak Spanish. So I'm what you consider Afro-Latino. Spanish is my first language. I mastered the English language. I'm still perfecting it. I'm able to flow like this in English and Spanish. Maybe one day we'll just do the Spanish.
A segment on Spanish? What I'm going to do? I'm not going to be here? You going to be the host that day?
Now you can come on there. Just like I learned English, you can learn Spanish. That ain't hard. We can do the Espanol section.
No, me no español. Sí, señor.
Sí, se habla. Si necesita ayuda. And ayuda mental.
Anyway, well, because this is going to be whole. Look, we can go on and on and on. So anyway,
diversity here.
Yes.
Very diverse, even though it looks, pro-black, which it is, but we're diverse. Let me work on my French, we'll be doing a segment in French as well.
We're gonna reach all the listeners.
I can say this right now, internationally known, locally respected. Your boy Caesar in the house.
All right, and on that note, we're going to wrap it up. All right, so that's the end of This gonna be a continued episode because we can talk about social media.
So we will continue on our next segment. Just stay tuned every Thursday.
Stay tuned every Thursday at 7 o'clock. All right. Until then, bye.
Ciao.